All right, we are live. Welcome. This is Kat with Tada Next Level Staging and Design at Kat's Home Chat, and episode 28. Can't believe we've done that many. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I have a super guest with me today, Rachel Allen, and she is going to speak about flipping and holding. I believe she'll correct me if I'm wrong. The two concepts. And we're going to have a conversation and find out some of the top things. Real estate is not for the faint of heart, neither staging, flipping, certainly not. So she's going to kind of uncover some of the secrets and tips if you're considering it or are doing it that you need to do up front to make sure that you're profitable and to ease the process. Because like real estate and all you agents and realtors out there, there's a multiples of moving parts and pieces. And so Rachel's going to help you navigate through that in our short time here. And without further ado, Rachel, please join us. Welcome.
Hello.
So, welcome. And I want you to do just a brief bio, kind of condensed bio, to let our viewers know a little bit about you and how you got in the business and how long you've been in the business. But before I start, I just want to let folks know this month, which is, for culture, is, Valentine's is a big deal, which is all about love, I'm going to say, and really isn't just living all about love. So we espouse to do it every moment and every day of our life. But going with the culture, this month's episodes are all going to be around love, loving what you do. And Rachel certainly does that. We were talking earlier, and unfortunately, studies say about 87% of people who are working don't love their job. They don't really, it's a job. So Rachel has a passion and loves what she does, which is why I asked her to be my guest. And the rest of the month, please stay tuned. We are actually streaming on both my personal page, Kathleen Trelinos, as well as my business page, Tada by Kat, Next Level Staging and Design. So either one, you can find this stream. We will be posted on YouTube, and Jeff, my illustrious business partner and husband, is going to post that URL. Please subscribe and hit the bell so you can be notified when new content comes on. But this month is going to be all about love. And, love starts with self-care. So we've got some guests lined up that are going to talk about relationships when you're selling, actually, and how to deal in that form with husband and wife that may have conflict in why and how they're selling. We're also going to talk to a coach who's got a background in Reiki and massage. She does a local radio show, and she's local here, and she's going to share with us about self-care, because self-care starts at home. So with that, Rachel, welcome so much, and tell our viewers a little bit about Rachel and how you got in the industry.
Sure. Well, first of all, thank you for having me. Really happy to be here. I have been in the industry for about 10 years. So I originally started as a investor. I started on that end. I got into fixing and flipping and buy and hold. And so those are essentially two different things, but they can also be the same. So traditionally a flip is when you go into purchasing a home that is, it needs repairs, and you do all the design work, you rehab it, and then you sell it for a profit. But what we're seeing a lot in today's market is that a lot of investors are doing what's called the BRRRR strategy, which is
What is it called? What strategy?
BRRRR. It's BRRRR. And so it's you
BRRRR.
BRRRR. You buy the property, you rehab you rehab the property, you rent it, and then you refinance it, and then you repeat.
So there's how many R's? Buy, renovate,
or rehab. You rent it, and refinance it,
and
and you repeat.
I like that.
Yeah. And so this is how a lot of investors, or, I mean, you don't have to be an investor, you don't have to carry that title necessarily, but this is how people are starting to build wealth by holding rental portfolios. And so if
Uh-huh.
you can purchase a property at the right price, you're capitalizing on it several
You're
different ways.
turning a profit pretty quick. And, when I think I told you before the show, I've bugged my husband for years and he's like, no, we don't want that headache. And you really want to, especially everything's far from us. We're in the woodlands, to maintain it. I said, yeah, we get a rental company. But some of the things that I read, even one of my clients, staging clients, wrote a book on it. The title leaves me right now. But what he talked about kind of is, is that to really make money, you're better buying and flipping than buying and holding, unless you have a certain amount of money. What is your thoughts on that, Rachel? For folks out there who, like, maybe realtors, part-time or full-time, and or homeowners, like you say, they don't have to have the title of investor. They just want to invest, especially real estate can be had at a very good price right now.
Oh, yeah.
What would you say to that?
So I think they're just two different strategies. I don't know if there's one that's better than the other, but traditionally the fix, flip, and sell strategy is going to give you a little bit more money on the front end right away. So it's kind of the way to build up cash reserves sooner than later.
Right.
The part that's a little bit difficult about flipping is it really can be a full-time job. So depending on what your situation is, whether you have a full-time job, you're trying to do it part-time or on the side, it can be done. People do it all day, but it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of planning and a lot of oversight, which I think that many don't really understand at times. And
now, what do you mean by oversight? Like being on like a GC watching them?
Yeah. So even if you have a contractor, sometimes contractors need
supervision,
a little bit of supervision at times. So of course, if you can find a really great contractor, there are many out there that don't need a lot. But I think with most people and how they work, whenever the pressure's on or when they know someone is watching them, they perform at a higher.
Yes, and it's the accountability. It's not that they're bad. It's the accountability.
Right.
We refurbished our house. It took a whole year between COVID and holidays and everything else. But I couldn't imagine someone who had to go out, we work from our home because we did have to do, managing, So let's talk about that, because to me, being my own GC for, a complete rehab, the first thing I always say is, I'm of a mind, I get 3 quotes. My husband's like, he goes with who he likes, Like, okay. So between us, we come up with something that works. But showing up, like, I can't tell you how many painters that I called, and I have a couple now that I use because they show up and they make me look good when I refer them out. And I vet them, at my, personally first. But how do you, what are some tips that you could share with folks, newbies, whether they're, renovating, realtors, or rehabbing? What are your strategies for vetting, contractors?
So there's a couple of different things. One, understanding, like asking for referrals. So if you are looking for someone that you've never used before, talking to people that who have used them before.
And that you trust their level of referral, really.
Right, exactly.
Right? Their level of expectation. Yeah.
Exactly. So matching that, that's one thing. I think that one of the things that I often look for, and it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be good or not, but I look for a certain level of professionalism. So, when I call, do they answer their phones? Like, what is their timeliness in response? Even if it's just like looking for a quote, or if we're meeting at an appointment, how, like, are they on time?
That is excellent. And I really want to punctuate that, because I know you as a high producing realtor, you know, back when I was selling real estate in Southern California, I really wanted out of the business because I'm like, with every deal, there's another realtor on the other end, and I can't control their professionalism. So, you know, when you're in the throes of financing, because we all know you don't have a deal until it's funded, and I'm in the throes of financing, I need answers from that other realtor, and they don't get back with me, that's really frustrating. So even shopping for a realtor like yourself, yeah, that's key. Do you answer your phone? Do you get back in a timely manner?
Yeah.
Because that will give you an idea how the rest of the transaction, excuse me, is going to go once you're hired, whether you hire the contractor or hire a realtor, right?
For sure, for sure.
Yeah.
So definitely translatable on that end. And I think there's one thing that I heard in this business, like with contractors, it's not always true, but you can be cheap, fast, or quality. You get to pick two. Which two do you prefer? Because it can be sometimes when you're running a business like that. If you're good at what you do you have the office infrastructures in place to handle certain aspects of the business? So what I find is if you have really great contractors who do the work really well, sometimes the paperwork end of things is a little bit difficult. And so sometimes those become a challenge when it comes to pricing, or if you have to, you have add-ons, right? So if you go into a flip, it's very rare that you don't come into something that you didn't
anticipate. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so, you know, you have to be able to pivot and change, and, you know, there's change orders. What do those things cost? And I think those are some of the things that really get out of, you know, you're moving on a timeline, you're moving really fast. Sometimes decisions need to be made very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
You understand how much it's going to cost, how much it's going to impact your budget along the way. Is it worth it? Are you going to get, you know, are you going to get that back in the sales price? How important? So,
yes. Time is of essence. But, you know, I'll tell you, as a, you know, professional staging company as well, wow, I've seen some really bad refurbs where, you know, you're afraid they're going to open up the door and the drawer fall out. And I've seen really good ones, you know, so I think sometimes maybe, you know, folks who are doing that they're compromising quality, you know, for speed, because of course time is of essence.
Yeah.
What is the typical, so let's talk about that time snapshot, that Rachel, what is the typical time, or is that different from everyone? Let's say, I don't know, let's say you tell me if this is average, a $250,000 resale older home, 60s, 70s, 80s. I don't know. You tell me what would be a kind of a typical, and then what I'm leading into is what is the time frame typically that you want that done to resell it?
So it depends on the level of repairs that need to be done. I would say it's 90 days is kind of like a
benchmark
range for something that's not too extensive. And even shorter. I had a client who was a fix and flipper, and we literally, now he had his crew ready to go at like signing. So he moves really quickly, but it was a very cosmetic paint.
Those are the laydowns, right? The ones you love, where it looks trashed and terrible, but it's really just some new flooring and paint.
It was a clean in and out job, and he got it done in 30 days. And
wow.
We went on market. It was on market. And this was right at the height of COVID too. So we bought it. We were like, I don't know. You know, it was hard for me to tell him what to expect as far as timelines.
Right.
On market for just under 30 days. We closed in 30 days. So he was in and out of it. He was from closing table to closing table. It was 90 days.
Wow. And so that's ideal, 90 days. Typically it takes longer.
I would say like 6 months is
about 6 months is average. So folks, you need to know that if you're tipping your toes in or not starting, is you need to have some cash reserves, of course. And may I ask what the price point was for that home?
We ended up selling, that one was $289.
Okay, so under 300.
Oh yeah.
So I don't know if this is part of your bailiwick, probably being you're an investor and have come from that world as well. What are the best ways? I've heard, and again, I've not done flipping, but you hear the buzzwords hard money loan,
Mhm.
construction loan.
Mhm.
What are the best, I guess, options for folks who want to dabble in doing a flip for financing?
For financing, so if you have cash,
HELOC, that's another one.
yeah, cash is king. So whenever
Cash is king there. Yep.
to get a home on the front end, and especially if there are more distressed properties, most banks aren't going to lend on it. And
Ah.
so too, if they're distressed, oftentimes it's a need to move it quickly. And
So
so
what makes a home distressed?
I think somewhat for from a bank's perspective, flooring. So if it's missing flooring, oftentimes you can't get a standard conventional.
Really?
If
Wow.
it's, if there's major structural issues.
That's surprising. Yeah, I could understand structural, but flooring is just so darn cosmetic. I'm surprised on that. Huh.
Yeah, so it really it depends on the loan type too.
Okay.
There are so many loan types out there. There are construction loans, which there's a conventional product, and also an FHA product. And this is FHA is owner occupant. So you won't use a FHA loan to flip a property to sell it to an end investor, but for anyone who is interested in, purchasing a home that needs some work, there are loan products that you can purchase and go into to renovate your home. So I actually did that with the home that I live in now.
So what you're saying then, Rachel, so you bought this home, let's just say it was 250,000.
Mhm.
And you tacked on another 50 or 100 or whatever for reno into the FHA loan?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
for me, we actually did a conventional one, but there is an FHA version of it and FHA is the first time home buyer loan. So you can get a down payment as low as 3.5%.
3.5%, right.
No money.
So it sounds to me like it's similar. It's similar to how we did in new homes. If someone wants to tack on 40,000 for a pool, we would just add that to the fee. Is that the same kind of concept?
Yeah. So
an improvement loan, basically.
Yeah, and they those types of hard money loans, they work the same when it comes to the total loan amount is going to be the acquisition of the property and also the renovation budget.
So talk to us about, again, people who are new. What is a hard money loan? What are the components to a hard money loan?
So a hard money loan is almost equivalent to cash. However, the lending of the loan is less based on the person borrowing the money, but more on the deal
the property.
Yeah. So a hard money lender is looking at the deal. Now, it doesn't mean what they're looking for from the person who is borrowing the money. They want to know that the credit score, they don't have, it's not a high bar. It's not like you have to have a 700 credit score, but they want to know you can at least handle credit to some extent. And they also want to know that you have cash reserves so that you can manage through.
Fix it up. Yeah.
They're typically short term. So 6 months to a year is about average for a hard money loan. It's high interest. And so on average, when you're first starting out, interest is probably going to be, 10 to 13%.
Okay.
And they will usually charge points up front. At closing. So when you're getting into a hard money loan, you do have to have some cash reserves. You do have to pay a little bit up front. But the great thing about a hard money loan is if you purchase the property correctly and, you plan out your budget, because that's also, you're going to have to be able to show, a budget, like line item budget of your plans for the property. And what you do, if you're able, you can actually borrow 100% of the cost of the project if it all fits within what they're willing to allow you to borrow. And most hard money lenders will allow you to borrow up to 70% of the estimated market value once it's repaired.
Really? Wow.
So I can give you
with a hard money loan, you could literally purchase the home for basically for cash. They would loan you enough, whatever, let's just say 50,000 for upgrades, plus you're going to make another 40,000, they would loan you that total amount. If all the numbers added up, the competitive market analysis, you got a great deal, basically.
Yeah.
Wow.
You have a good deal. So you have to know your numbers up front. You have to understand not just, what your.
So let's talk about the numbers. And I know you and I chatted because I didn't want to ask you anything you weren't comfortable with, but evidently you're comfortable with everything about this subject. So tell our viewers about the numbers. What kind of numbers, or is there a website they can go to do a plug and play? What would you recommend there?
Yeah, so I think if you're interested, the best website to go to learn about these things is BiggerPockets. There's tons of websites, you can Google it, but BiggerPockets is a website that just has all kinds of information, all kinds of tools, and it's a lot of investors from all over that.
Nice.
It's like message boards, like I'm in this situation. Has anybody experienced this? So it's a really good networking.
Is that a website or a Facebook group?
It's a website. I would imagine they're on Facebook as well.
Okay.
But it's a really great, like if you're just trying to find some information, that's a great place to start. The typical formula, I would say, is you typically want to, because there's so many things you have to consider when you're doing a flip. And I think that's where a lot of people get caught up, because it's not just the house, the cost of the house, the cost of the repairs. You have to think about your holding and carrying costs. So while you're doing your project, you still have to pay for utilities, your electricity, water, gas. You have to maintain the lawn oftentimes, if there is one. You have to consider taxes, because you're going to have to pay the taxes.
And it's funny because these are all things that, as a professional stager, a lot of folks, we get homes sold quicker and for more money. And folks often don't consider that. What about your carrying time? If I can help you sell it 60 days sooner, what does that mean to you monetarily in carrying costs? So that's a good point. Sometimes I forget to reiterate that, but that is so real and so important.
And I think if you are a stager, if you are an investor and you're fix and flip and you are planning to resell it, put staging in your budget. It's important.
Thank you. And I didn't pay Rachel to say that.
You did not.
However, I have helped her clients sell very quickly and for more money. So she knows. She's a fan.
Yeah. It's important because, again, when you are, I think this is whether you're doing a flip or just a real estate agent in general. My goal is to get the property sold as soon as possible. And when people are going into a home, like, we're emotional buyers, right? We go, we see it. That's why model homes, everyone wants
exactly.
Because model homes have everything you could possibly want in a home.
Yep.
And because when you're walking in, you see, you feel it. And also too, I'll say, when you have furniture in the property, people have a tendency to stay a little bit longer.
Because they absolutely do, because it's a transfer of emotion. People don't buy what they don't see. I worked in model homes for over a decade. I would go, start off at the model home and then go show a prospective client who didn't have time to build but wanted an inventory. And I would show them the exact floor plan. And I've said this before, if folks are watching, and I'll say it again. And they would just walk in and go, no.
Yes,
this is the same home. It's the model.
And I think sometimes when you get sold on the model home and then you build it and you walk in, you're like, wait, this is different.
People don't buy what they don't feel. Staging is emotion, and buyers justify price with emotion.
Yes. And
how many times have you had a buyer that you took out and they give you it has to have 4 bedrooms. It needs to be no power lines behind, in this school district, with a bonus room. So you've got your must-haves, right? And you've got your list together and the perfect home. You take them in like, oh my gosh, so it has everything you want. Are you ready to make an offer? And how many times have you heard them go,
like,
no, I'll know it when I feel it.
Yeah,
when I see it, when I feel it.
The more you, and it's really appeals to all the senses. So when you're thinking about, like, how does it smell? So I make sure to have air freshener in the home. And this is for anyone who's I've seen so many flips. It's like you get to the end, you spend so much time and energy in getting the property together, and then it just completely falls off when it comes to selling it. It smells inside. So you want to
Yes.
good smells, even
Yes.
when furniture in the property. It changes the sound. It's not as hollow sounding.
It's not echoey.
Yeah, and
carpet and so forth. And I'm going to do a shameless plug here because we're super excited. If anybody's seen me on Facebook, we just had the excitement and pleasure and blessed to buy a transit. So we're super excited now to be able to offer staging, a 3 key room staging where we can do our own in-house instead of, having to hire our expensive movers for 2 trips. Yeah. So stay tuned. We're in the process of getting it wrapped. But we're real excited about that. And I say that to say that if you thought you couldn't afford staging, you can't afford not to stage. Every home deserves to be staged. You will receive more money. You will sell it quicker and reduce carrying costs, as Rachel, who's a veteran, knows. I'm curious, another topic, but Rachel, what industry did you come from before entering real estate 10 years ago? Or were you just out of high school?
No. 10 years ago. Let's see. So prior to this, I've been in all kinds of things, but I actually worked in education. I was in administration for a charter school in New Orleans.
Oh, no kidding. Oh, okay. Okay. Well, that's why you're calm and informative. You come from the education industry. I like that. And that's why I'm flamboyant. I come from the entertainment industry.
And before that, it was retail. So customer service is
Customer service is huge. Yeah. And that's, I know you take great care with all of your clients and really that's above and beyond. We know there's realtors out there who go, oh, I'll do it for less. That's a discount broker and they're probably discounting the service they give you too.
Yeah. I mean, everything, my goal with my clients is always to okay, let's talk about, I'm not here to sell your house. Let's talk about the bigger picture. What are your true goals from start to finish? And so from there I can find out what's the best fit. And
absolutely, because we're in the people business, not the staging or the home selling or the home buying business. We're in the people business, really, right? And so finding out it's like I have an online estimator. If people want to just, some people, it's competition. They just want to see what it costs, and I always reach out to them and said, let's talk about your unique project, because we look at each project really to be a living, breathing, unique space. And that's where I get excited. My team gets excited because we're going to bring to life, we actually specialize in difficult floor plans, not just open concept where, people have no idea where to put their furniture and they stick it all against the wall. But the difficult floor plans, those are the most challenging and the most rewarding, right?
And those are the ones that help, when you can do that in a home. I mean, if you have a difficult floor plan, staging is a must, because, you can't see, whenever a potential buyer walks into a home, they have to be able to see themselves in it. And they think about the furniture that they have. And how it will fit. But if it's staged, then it just makes them think, oh, I just have to go get this furniture, and this is how.
Absolutely, you give them an idea, and my work. I'm not afraid of color. I think we use lime green sofas in your client, which I tell folks, if you have an aversion to color, let me know, because but in certain properties, it just maybe they're not going to put an apple green sofa. It was apple, not lime. But it's vibrant. It raises their vibrational level. They see how they can do it, and they can see how their tan, beige, or brown sofa will fit. Right? And it's memorable because many realtors are out there. They're sometimes forced, especially if they have out-of-towners, they've got to show them a bazillion properties in a very short time. And the client's head is spinning, and they have no idea from one to the next, which work for them, but they will go back on review and go, the one with the apple green sofas, that one really spoke to me, so, ta-da, we're not afraid to use color. And it's not because I just love color. I do love color, but I have 3 certifications in it because I love it so much. It's complicated, yes, but it's exciting when you know how to use it artfully.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm really happy that you're such a fan. I know you're a fan, and so talk to me about, our business has it's picking up again, but because of our wonderful market here in Houston, we have seen a slowdown because homes are selling so quickly. I just feel sometimes that realtors and our sellers are leaving money on the table. If they would have taken a minute and had it staged, they could have hung on and gotten a staged price as opposed to a vacant price. What are your thoughts on that? And in this market in Houston.
I mean, I think it's just really important because, again, people buy with emotion. And so, especially right now, the thing is you're getting multiple offers on properties. And so, when people will pay more when they know that this house is the one. And so, what helps them to feel that way is, walking into a home and being able to like see, hear, smell, like all of the
senses, and it's really packaging. I tell folks staging is the most strategic and what's the word I'm looking for? It will give you the most results in terms of marketing. Staging is marketing. It's packaging. When you're looking, why do companies spend so much money on artfully packaging and strategically packaging their products? All of us, we're human beings, and we respond with our senses, and we see a prettier package. Like I'll give you an example for me. I ordered something from Kinsley, I want to say. It's a jewelry company on Instagram. And, the product was nice, but I was super impressed about the packaging. It came in a pouch. The pouch was in a tin. Of course, I'm always thinking, okay, what can I repurpose the tin? Oh, I could put nails in it for staging. But that stuck in my mind, how they took that extra care to package it. And subliminally, it makes me want to buy something else from them.
And it makes me feel like it provides more value. It feels like, oh, okay, this was worth the price that I paid for it.
Yes.
And so when you're looking at higher end brands, you're going to pay more. It may be the same product as anything else, but you're going to pay more because of
the way it's packaged. No different than you're going to pay more for someone, say a realtor who has training, has invested in their training, has certifications and experience. Not to say that new realtors, can't get business. They'll start off like many of us did years ago with friends, family, people go to church, supermarket, school. But as you build that referral basis, it's you really can't put a price on experience,
right.
The kind of experience that someone like you has and other realtors I know that you bring to the table. And so the folks out there who want you to be a discount broker or cut your rates or this and that, you're just not a match.
I mean, and that's what I will tell anyone who, it's not, again, it has to be the right fit. It has to make sense because as a real estate agent, I do marketing, right? And so those are expenses that I incur, but it's because.
Absolutely. And let's talk about that. Folks don't realize that, they think you get X percent. They don't realize that you have to give half to the other agent, that you have to give your broker money, that you have to pay for your membership dues, that you have to pay for your training, that you have to pay for all of your marketing, your website, Yeah, it's a real business with a lot of expenses. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it is a business. And so part that, standard, commission that we charge, it is to sell the home. Right. And so again, my goal is to make sure that I'm meeting my client's goals. So if they have a certain timeline, I'm going to tell them, I have the experience to let them know the expectations. Okay, you want this, but you want this timeline. So here's where we need to be on price. And this is what we need to do to market the home to make sure that it sells. Because my goal as an agent is to get as many eyes on the property, to get as many other agents and buyers through the home. And if we're just not on the same page,
And you're not a good fit. You're just not a match. And, I'm glad you mentioned that because, I keep my license, but it's by referral only, really very close. I don't, solicit to sell real estate. But it's important for me to keep my membership so that I can help, the few people a year that I do help. But what would you say, forgot where I was going with this line. What were you just saying? Talking about? It was about your investors. Going back to our topic, do they try to get you down on price, or on your commission? I mean, typically.
If I have investors, if they're repeat clients, they, I work with them. So it may be, all right, instead of cutting down my commission, I'm going to include staging, or I'm going to include certain
Wonderful.
things.
And I love that. And so in my business also, I espouse, I'm not the cheapest. I'm not the most expensive. I'm just the best. And I have to believe that. Okay. If I don't believe it, who's going to? So I can't cut my prices. I run a business. I won't be in business next year if I do that, but I'll stage an extra room or I'll do the patio. I like how, give them something.
It's a value.
Extra, a value. Yeah.
It's more of just another value add versus
cut rate. Yeah.
Because
then you're cheapening your services. We need to know our value and be confident in our value. And the way I look at it, Rachel, is the ones that don't resonate with that, well, it just freed up that energy for us to be with the ones that do value, respect, and desire our expertise and services.
And that is exactly that. It doesn't make sense for me. The very limited time that I have in the business, I want to make sure that I'm a good fit with the clients that I'm working with.
And I know she does have very limited time. This is a very busy lady, and she also has a toddler.
Yeah, I have two. I have a 4-year-old and a almost 2-year-old.
Oh, that's right. You can see her on Instagram. So we're running a little bit over. If you would like to connect with Rachel, what's the best time? This is going to be posted on YouTube, but what's the best phone number for them to reach you right away to get some information on selling or buying?
Sure. My number is 832-390-4305.
And Rachel is on Instagram. What's your handle on Instagram?
It's Rachel Allen Real Estate.
There you go, Rachel Allen Real Estate. You can also find her on Facebook. Reach out to her. Share the love. This month is about love, and Rachel loves what she does, and I loved having her on this show. And so thank you so much. If you have questions, post them. Rachel or I will go back and field any questions that you might have. But if you have ones, immediately reach out to Rachel. And if you know anyone who would like to be a guest on Kat's Home Chat, we're just about booked up for February, but we're looking for March, which will bring us into spring, right? So we should have a whole new format for that. And again, we're expanding beyond, as I was telling Rachel before the show, it's all things home, all things real estate, but all things home and all things human, because we're all human and we're all having the human experience, whether we're home, buying, selling, decorating, taking care of ourselves, managing relationships, children, etc. So it's a broad topic, and I welcome anyone if you think that if you are not afraid to be on camera. It's amazing how many people are shy and don't want to be on camera, and that's okay. You can just watch us. Share this. Please share it. Share the love. And until next Friday, I encourage you to stay positive, stay hopeful, and stay connected. And we thank you so much for connecting with us today. Keep connected with us. And I'll talk to you soon, Rachel.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much.